honestly, is yeah, man. Trump, he said, check this out, Strait of Hormuz. Y'all already know what's going on with that. He said he's gonna put up a blockade, which is crazy. So we got to see how that's going to turn out for the markets tomorrow because y'all already know how crypto reacts in real time. Then on top of that, we also going to be talking about with Justin's son. You know, he went on a little Twitter rant, and he got his account froze. He had like $75 million worth of Trump ticket. You know what I'm saying? So I can imagine that boy's probably hurt that he can't get access to his funds. And it actually went down about 90%. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know that token wasn't doing too well. So he's upset. So I'm not even mad at him about that. You know what I mean? And we got another person that might be highly upset. His name is G Love. Alright? I never heard of this guy. He does bluegrass, rock, and I guess his version of what you want to call hip hop. So we're gonna talk about him catching the L, cause he actually lost some Bitcoin. He lost some Bitcoin, y'all, on a fake app, a fake ledger app. So these are some of the stories that we're gonna talk about today. I got my guy Just Cheeze. So I gotta get my boy Just Cheeze some dat, man. He's clean, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's clean. How you doing, brother? We gonna get everything cracking right now. You know what I'm saying? So I always gotta ask my peoples how they feeling, how they doing. So Cheeze, how you doing this weekend, man? You look fresh today too, man.
Yeah, I'm
Come on, grab the other mic. Put it close to you.
yeah, I got it. It's been a up and down weekend. I've been having like little bits of tiredness here, but at the same time, made my way outside to just sit. Yesterday I was sitting outside on the belt line,
Dope.
doing some coding, this working on some scholar stuff, which was great. I found a spot on the belt line that's just good to sit and
Dope.
work.
Dope.
So I think I'm gonna be going there more often. Not necessarily talking about the James room. I'm just talking about another area where anybody can just go and chill and just watch and just people watch, but also just be productive. So yeah, I'm glad I found that spot. And it's not in the sun, so you can just sit in the shade and, you know, have a good time. Aside from that, today I was on a panel for Cannabis. Shout out to Justin and Kyle over at the bookstore and Michael over at the bookstore gallery. So Cannabis, for those who are not aware of, this is a platform, right, that was started by Justin and his co-founder Michael.
Oh, okay.
Both of them both of them teach cannabis medical sciences at Morehouse.
Dope.
And Clark, Atlanta, and Spelman.
Dope.
So both of them are in that industry, right? And Cannabis is their platform by which, it's an AI platform by which you can go, you can sign up, you can get access to up-to-date AI documentation around, well, not AI documentation, cannabis documentation around the industry regulations, laws, health benefits, and you can talk about, like, you can put in a prompt, I want this, and then Cannabis will bring you back information, right? So part of their journey as building up the platform has been education, right? I mentioned they teach, and part of the education was really what was on promotion this weekend.
Gotcha.
Since Friday, they had a mixer to kick off the weekend,
Dope.
and then Saturday they had an all-day not workshop. They had an all-day conference, and
How was the turnout?
I wasn't there for Saturday. Oh, I did come in later on, but the first half of my day I was at the Beltline.
Got you.
But the turnout was really good, pretty good. You know, they were able to get some great content around spreading their word, and they had different panels, different topics, different subject matters, and did a great job of like looking at their network and bringing out a bunch of people to talk on these different subjects. It was very inspiring actually, because I just think about like what they had to do to pull that off, and the fact that Morehouse let them leverage their space, right? It gave me thoughts about how we could do something as well, because there was probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around 6 vendor partners
Okay.
that had tables there at the event, and we could get vendor partners for blockchain related things, AI related things.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, quick question. Quick question. Let me see. I just wanted to ask you, because you'd be remiss if you don't mention what you were talking about on the panel. I can only assume, but can you explain to the people in details, you know, what you were educating the community about?
I'm gonna get to that. I'll get to that in a second, but before I get to that, the panel discussions on Saturday are, I'm just talking about the setup,
Okay.
right? The one panel that I did catch on Saturday was between between Justin and the founder of Hope Wiseman, right?
What's that?
Hope Wiseman. She's the founder of a dispensary,
Oh, okay.
and they were just talking about like customer engagement, I believe.
Okay.
But today's panels were pretty dope. The first one, well, the one before I got there was about was a lot of the people like official. This one was actually I'm glad that I got there for this one, because it's very educational. They had one of the Georgia representatives, Eric Bell.
Okay.
He did a lot of lawmaking in the state, right? And he was on the panel along with 2 champion advocates from cannabis chambers, and then one lawmaker. One lawyer. And they were talking about the recent laws that passed in the cannabis industry. I'll spare us the details because we're not a cannabis community here, we're a blockchain.
That's right,
But
that's right.
I brought this up to say that, you know, one of the questions that I did ask for them, because the 2 individuals that were part of the
Panel.
chambers, and they were advocates, they weren't lawmakers, but they were very instrumental in bringing change. And the reason why that is, they spoke about one key thing that I think we can benefit from.
What's that?
They understood that lawmakers, people like Eric Bell, doesn't have time to read all these laws that are being. They have to go to 1,200 laws in 40 days.
Damn.
And bills rather, and then determine if they're going to become law, right? So which ones they pick up, which ones they actually move to completion, right? It's all a matter of like who actually spends time getting the loudest in their face, consistency, educating them of course, money and put it forward.
That's right.
Right. So one thing, and we've talked about this, but I think it's one thing that we can definitely do a lot more champion of, is just getting consistent education about stuff that is on the docket for them to vote on, and
That's
education from us. I didn't know when that Georgia stablecoin bill was even being introduced. Did you?
Yeah, didn't the two gentlemen who
That was
came?
after the fact.
Oh, nah. Prior to those gentlemen, no, I didn't know.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. So, like, we have the tools at our disposal, right? Like, I can leave here today. I can go on Claude, and I can say, hey, this is my industry. What bills are on the table for Georgia? It's not always gonna be as cut and dry as cryptocurrency, blah blah blah.
Right.
Right? Sometimes it gets sneaked in like some agriculture
Right.
bill.
Right.
That's how we were talking about that before. So we gotta we gotta be that strategic about looking at what bills we could potentially like latch on, like a
Good point.
like a shrimp latching on to a whale, right? And just see how, once we do find these bills, use Claude to like break them down and to say highlight why blockchain crypto ties in here, why that matters to you.
Good point.
And from there, it's just like off to the races, calling them, emailing them, going to their meetings, and putting this in their face like, hey man, like, here's what you need to know. Because they truth is that they don't have the time, they don't know. Of course, money helps, but education also helps, especially when you're like, oh wow, I did not know anything about this space, right? So that's an attack vector for us that we can take. So I was glad to sit there and listen to that. But after that panel discussion, it was what I was involved in. That's why I was there. I was there for the next thing afterwards. So I was speaking on AI innovation in cannabis.
Got you.
Though I'm not directly in the cannabis industry, I am well aware of how AI transforms any industry.
That's right.
So I spoke on the future of AI. I spoke on Claude. I spoke on hallucination, how data matters.
Hallucination in AI, not hallucination from, because you're already talking about
AI hallucination to be very specific.
Yes, sir.
So overall, it was good. It was on that panel was me, Justin, and his co-founder Michael.
Okay.
And Kyle was the moderator. So it was good. But after that, pretty much chill. Where I was telling you before I came here, I was just at the after, like the post luncheon. So we all came back from Morehouse. We went over to Atlanta, Tucky, ate some food and talked. And then I came over here in time for this. But yeah, that's been my weekend. How about you, man?
Let me see the man, Cheese. Hats off to you, man. Hats off to you for being a part of that panel, getting into the weeds, understanding
the weeds.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Literally.
No pun intended. But being able to understand, what our politicians are gonna need. Number one is education. Number two, we have to, like you said, do our due diligence to be able to go through some of these bills and see, where blockchain can be implemented. So that was a great point that you highlighted, man. I appreciate, you being able to go down there, and network with these individuals and see where us as, members of ABC, how we can fit in, So I appreciate that, man. And then being on a panel to talk about, AI integration as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's dope. That's dope. I'm glad you was able to get out there and network, man. And did you take pictures, man? 'Cause you're sharp today, man. You take pictures, brother?
There were a couple pictures taken of me. That's about it. I ain't really get crazy, but they're out there somewhere. I got a couple on my phone.
No doubt, no doubt. All good, all good. So that was your weekend. So now we gotta ask Blue. Blue, how you doing? How you feeling? How was your weekend? Appreciate you being here today.
Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. Yeah, my weekend is moving. I'm moving, literally moving, and building, and all the things. I got to talk to Justin right before the event started, and I just really appreciate the knowledge and the science that he understands when it comes to that topic, like how it helps. Like we had oh my goodness, maybe like a 30-minute conversation just on like one piece of like the benefits and like how it regulates the brain, down to like the mechanics, to like pain management and like your immune system and your inflammation. And like he just flowed with it, as he's just like preparing like the badges for the event. And I just was like, man, I really appreciate being able to have a conversation with somebody that understands these things versus seeing it as just something that somebody could have used, or not understanding like the gifts and the powers of it. So I really told him, I was like, man, I really applaud y'all for everything you've accomplished. And then he talked about how his database broke down. Damn. And like the plans that he has for like the next phase of it. So yeah, I'm really proud of them. I'm really excited, about what they are doing, especially in an unfortunate state that's already a red state. And like the barriers that you have to kind of swim through. And they may not, and they were talking about how they're not expecting them to kind of pass some bills that we were looking forward to. They kind of like paused all of that. So like, I appreciate they understand like the boundaries and the blockades that they have, and they've really overcome a lot, especially being Black men in the South, accomplishing the things that they've accomplished and the locations that they've, are able to hold, and education and how they provide it. And they're really like polite people. So, I just big up to what they've accomplished this weekend at HBCU on top of that.
Nah, hey Blue, I appreciate you just giving us that perspective on just knowing the laws, the rules, the regulations, the health benefits, all of that is important. All of that is extremely important. And because we are not a cannabis brand, but we do, we support companies that integrate AI or just education, especially in cannabis, because we know there's going to be a way that AI, blockchain, and cannabis will eventually intersect. And we want to be here for that. So I'm glad that you were able to get some insight, from that event that you went to, So that's pretty dope. I'm glad you was able to have that conversation. So it sounds like y'all had a pretty lit weekend, That sounds like y'all was pretty lit, man. So I'm happy for both my co-hosts being able to get out there in the city, be outside in the springtime, you know what I'm saying? And network and understanding how we can integrate what we have going on here at the Atlanta Blockchain Center in the cannabis industry. So I salute both of y'all. All right? So, y'all ready to get into these topics? Y'all ready to get into the mix of these topics? Shout out to NFT. She's tapped in, you know what I mean? Shout out to her. And her beautiful sisters that came through, to ABC this past weekend. That was pretty dope. I hope y'all had a great time this weekend, chilling with your family. So, we're going to get right into the topics. We're going to take a look at the live feed on crypto.com so we can see what's going on in this state of crypto. All right, so we're going to go to crypto.com or CoinMarketCap or any other crypto exchange. You're going to see real-time data feeds on what's going on in the market. Bitcoin is at 71K right now, and Ethereum is at 22K. So this is all because Trump said he's going to send a blockade to the Strait of Hormuz. All right. So we saw earlier this week Bitcoin got up to 73K. So we were happy about that. But this weekend, Donald Trump ordered a U.S. naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, triggering a global risk-off reaction that sent Bitcoin and equities lower while oil prices surged. So if you had trades on Hyperliquid for oil futures, man, they went stupid. They went up about 20%. So the escalation impacting a route responsible for roughly 20% of the world's oil supply raised inflation fears and market uncertainty, prompting investors to shift towards safer assets and reversing Bitcoin's recent rally. Like I said, went up to 73 earlier this week. So this move highlights a growing trend where crypto is no longer driven solely by internal narratives, but increasingly reacting to macro events, reinforcing Bitcoin's evolution into a global risk asset that moves alongside traditional markets during geopolitical instability. And yeah, we definitely see every time Trump talks about what he's going to do involved with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, every time he reacts, the market reacts, whether it's positive or negatively. So this isn't surprising. I feel like this whole year is probably going to be just this, up and down, up and down. I don't feel like we're going to have major swings up or major swings down. I feel like it's going to be a grind both directions. That's my personal assessment. I've been watching some analysts, and they said they're looking for Bitcoin to dip down to about 45K. So we can do, price projections on here if we want. So if my co-hosts, if they feel free to want to discuss where they think this market will be this year, whether the highs or lows. Like I said, I think the lows will be about 45. The highs, I don't think we'll go past, we'll be lucky to crack 90. That's just my personal opinion. But how do you guys feel about, Trump's rhetoric sending naval ships to the Strait of Hormuz? And is there any other things that you think outside of the Clarity Act that might be able to move this market? Who wants to take this first? Cheeze, you want to take it first?
Yeah.
All right.
The Clarity Act for sure will kind of bring some more clarity, no pun intended, to the market. But what I think, I think this is all gesturing at the end of the day. The Strait of Hormuz is not easy to navigate in terms of putting a blockade there. It's, if you look on the map, it's actually it's not that accessible.
Right.
To countries outside of that Middle Eastern region. So if
That's right.
the United States would have to work with an ally, right?
Good point.
And have their naval situation kind of start at the island and move. So unless the United States already has a ship over there, maybe in the UAE or Saudi Arabia, then it's it's going to take a minute for that ship to get around Africa.
That's right.
Go up the Indian Sea, Indian Ocean and go into the Arabian Sea. And this is all be looking at the map,
Right.
right? So geography helps us to understand. Uh, and Pakistan was key component in helping, bring some of the ceasefire.
Yeah. Pakistan and Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And now people are saying the ceasefire is off
Yep.
because of this. I think that's again. I think this is just manipulation. I think it's an overestimate. I do think there will be some turbulence though until this pure clarity because, like you said, every time this guy opens his mouth, it's just like confusion, right? But I think that's a sign of trying to save face because we did not have this war did not go as we thought.
That's right.
6 weeks, and we'll be out of there, right? And then it turned into more than that, and then it turned into straight up like we're gonna straight up war crimes, like
Yeah, he was
and
threatening war crimes.
That's all badgering, right? It's all badgering. It's not anything that was going to be ever done because it would have been a war crime. And then two, you saw it didn't happen because it was just like again gesturing. So yeah, I think it's just gesturing. It will have some impact on the market, but I think it's short term. And I am optimistic about the fact that we could see prices over 95K.
Okay.
I just think the reason why the market is moving like this is because of the uncertainties. But once we have certainty, it's going up.
All right, so that's a positive outlook that you have on the market. Despite the turmoil, you have a positive look on the market. That's good. Being optimistic. Appreciate your thoughts on that. That was a great breakdown too, understanding the geography of where the Strait of Hormuz is, and once we can figure out how to get, more naval ships in that area, maybe he might be able to pull this off. We'll definitely see. We will monitor the situation. Blue, what's your thoughts on Trump sending a naval blockade to the Strait of Hormuz?
Man, we're watching a video game right now. And so it basically just breaks down to how much influence and how much control of flow that I can take over and position myself, because you have to look at all the other moves that he's already done from the other countries that he's already taken over, right?
Good point.
It's managing like the global supply. It's what can I like take over. That's why people are protesting with the no king protests and all these other different things. It is a power force that we haven't seen position themselves in such a way in the history, of our country, in the way that things are being handled, to the point of you can't kind of guess with other presidents that were in control of all these different things. Well, they're all puppets, but long story short, like the way that they were able to manage things, you can wage or guess or estimate how the market is going to go because of who's in the White House. And now it's a different type of structure. The market is being manipulated in such a way that we've literally never seen before. But it's also like strategic of like, what do we have to do to be able to be the number one? And I think that is what is happening. Yeah, I'll just kind of keep it right there. And it's also like just the pressures of showing like I am the giant to all the other countries as well.
Nah, Blue, you brought up some great points. I'm glad that you highlighted that. So we know America is so used to being the bully and wanting to regulate all these other countries and how they operate. And, you know, initially, like you were saying, we went in to liberate people, but there's no liberation when it comes down to the United States taking over countries. We didn't liberate Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about going into Cuba. We don't think he's gonna liberate the Cuban people. I don't think he's gonna do that. Same thing with Iran. He didn't go in there to liberate the people, because if he did, he would never said, he's gonna eradicate a whole civilization, which is a war crime and that's genocide. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, man. Like, that was a great point that you highlighted. Hopefully, America won't have to feel any impact of humbleness via, a terrorist attack. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. We're pawns in their game. So, we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, because we already know when it comes down to conspiracies, we can talk about that all day. But I appreciate your thoughts on that, Blue. Thank you very much, ma'am. All righty. Speaking of Trump, man, this World Liberty Financial platform that he got, this DeFi platform, man, it's causing some controversy, okay? So it looks like World Liberty Financial is under pressure after its World Liberty Financial token lost about $427 million in value following concerns over its DeFi lending strategy and token unlock plans, with critics warning that using its own token as collateral to borrow stablecoin creates a risky feedback loop as prices fall. That is super suspect. I'm not even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Using their own stable coins, as collateral, which is, that's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? What's giving these tokens value? You know what I'm saying? It's a game he's playing. So the situation worsened when a proposed token unlock for early investors sparked fears of additional selling pressure, though the team later shifted to a phased release to stabilize sentiment. So as World Liberty Financial's large collateral position impacted liquidity across platforms like Dolomite, the episode highlights how leveraged self-referential token models and unclear supply policies can quickly destabilize projects, erode trust, and create broader risks within the DeFi ecosystem. So yeah, bottom line, man, Trump, what are you doing with this platform, bro? What is your tokens being backed by? And then on top of that, y'all own a large supply of the tokens, so people aren't feeling your strategy as far as to unlock your tokens. And you lost about $500 million in value in that token, man. This is ugly. You know what I'm saying? You already made billions of dollars off of so many crypto projects that you have, whether it's your meme token, whether it's your DeFi platform, whether it's your mining company, HUD-8. Like, you guys are 10 toes down in this space, man, but you guys are manipulating the market. It's extremely obvious. So with that being said, I got to ask my co-hosts, what do you think about the sketchiness of World Liberty Financial using their own stable coin, all right, to back the World Liberty Financial token? So they got the USD one, which is their stable token, and then you got their DeFi token, which is this World Liberty Fi coin. Who wants to go first, Cheese or Blue? Who wants to go first?
I'll take it, but I'm gonna pass it to Tia and welcome her to the stage. So Tia, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take this one.
NFT, how you doing, babe? Good to hear from you. Appreciate you tapping in.
Hey, thank you. I was actually when my hand was up and I asked to speak, it was on the other subject, but so I didn't,
Nah, you can go ahead and dive in. Go ahead and dive in. Share your thoughts on both subjects.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna just keep it on this one. I mean, on the previous one with the Strait of Hormuz, and just the whole oil thing and the barricading and all that stuff. Um, uh, so just to take it back when I just remember when we were having a discussion, probably like in February, early February, and we discussed, something big is going to happen, market's going to crash, inflation, money printer. And Elijah was like, "Hey, they got tanks out there already, and I think we're going to be going to war with Iran." And it happened like 3 weeks later, but like the strategy of it has been, and then like the on the back end, we all agree that they'll probably flood the market with, instead of regular dollars, how they did with COVID, with some form of stable coin, and stable money. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but if I was a betting woman, I would definitely bet. We just kind of like lined up the times of how it happened with COVID, how April was a really hot month, how expected crash happened in April. Just there was just so many similarities. Even when you're looking at gas took a dip down to negative prices, which had never been seen. Now this run, gas is at a higher price per barrel than had ever been seen. Now you look at like the Gulf of Mexico and all these ports, U.S. ports, they're booming. Everyone from every corner of the world is trying to get oil from over here because everything's so difficult in the strait, which was only 20% of the world's oil in the beginning. But how strategic was that for the U.S. to take over Venezuela? Even though Venezuela got a different kind of oil and only some people can process it because it's more like tar, but still, like now they got Venezuela jumping and they got the Gulf of Mexico jumping and all of Texas and everywhere else is jumping. So when these gas prices that we're seeing right now, it's not necessarily a 20% jump, or 20, because we've lost 20% of access to the world's oil, but it's supply and demand from everyone else in the world trying to get to our oil and restock their reserves and so on and so forth. So again, I am not when I say the love-hate relationship between Trump is an understatement with me. But sometimes when I have to take a step back and look at the strategy from a business standpoint, it's like this this done did it again. And that's sometimes how I feel about some of the moves that he's making. And what better position? Like at first, the dollar was the petrodollar, quote unquote petrodollar, since the gold standard went out the window. The petrodollar was at risk. Now look at how strategic this is, and even at the helm of being called a war criminal and all these things, like how strategic that was to be able to maneuver, and we know how pro crypto he is. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm saying all this to say this. I wouldn't be surprised, just like when the deal went down with the Middle East with Nixon, and we had the petrodollar, and everyone started to exchange oil for U.S. dollars, and it was backed by dollars. It's just giving me that same energy. Like everybody, if you look at the ships that's coming in and out of the United States or the Americas in general right now, fiending for oil right now, or their company or their country stop, it's going to be nothing to say, all right, we using USDC, we using USDT, we using stable coins, US backed stable coins if you want this oil. That's my piece.
Tia came in and smoked it. Guns blazing.
Oh my God.
Nah, Tia, man, you hit on so many great points, man. So what essentially you saying it was a play to run up into Venezuela, get that heavier oil, so it'll drive demand from other countries to get the oil from us instead of getting it from Iran through the Strait of Hormuz. Tia, man, I really appreciate that take too, man. I really, really appreciate that take, man. So we watching Trump tactics, man, and sometimes, yes, you have to admire his brashness. This guy got a set of cojones on him. You know what I'm saying? But
And
on
I
the
can't stand them.
right, but on the flip side, you know, him rolling back like DEI, him having his administration taking back books about black history. It's so many, he's so polarizing, man. I mean, listen, love him or hate him, you know, sometimes he does some things that you just gotta respect, even if you don't like him. So that was great points that you made, Tia. You smoked that. You smoked that. Glad to hear your thoughts on that.
For sure.
All right, all right. So, with that being said, and this all rolls into the same thing because we were talking about World Liberty Financial, but this is some of the things that Trump has his hands in. You know what I'm saying? We know he's trying to line his pockets and all his buddies' pockets, you know, by doing these plays with these takeover of countries. So, we will continue to monitor the situation, but Trump is in hot water, bro. He's in hot water because Justin's son is a major holder of that token, right? And he went on a long Twitter rant. All right, so I ain't gonna go into the details of his Twitter rant, but what I can say, Justin's son has accused World Liberty Financial of embedding undisclosed backdoor. He on his Pooh Shiesty shit. He straight slime, right? Backdoor functions in its World Liberty Fi token contracts, claiming the project can be blacklisted as far as blacklisting wallets and freeze users' funds without notice, contradicting its promises of decentralization. Sun says he was personally affected after his wallet was allegedly frozen in 2025, calling the system a trapdoor marketed as an open door, and further alleging governance manipulation, hidden controls, and unfair fee extraction. While such features can sometimes be used for compliance, the controversy highlights a deeper issue in crypto around centralized control within DeFi projects, raising serious questions about investors' rights, transparency, and whether users truly have ownership over their assets. This is what we've been talking about. If you use, like we mentioned earlier, crypto.com, Coinbase, Kraken, if you keep your crypto on these exchanges, you don't own your crypto. Apparently, Justin's son, who's the founder of Tron, he has his own blockchain, right? I guess what he was trying to do was, you know, maybe get some of the yield from staking World Liberty Financial tokens on that platform. Either which way, he didn't have access to it. And they froze 75, at the time when he bought it, was like $75 million worth of World Liberty Financial tokens. Man, that shit went down to like 95%. So I can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? But Trump, man, like Tia said, man, this guy is straight slime. You know what I'm saying? That platform, they created a backdoor function that actually frees users' funds and blacklist wallets because they said his account had some kind of suspicious activity. That's the reason why they froze his accounts. But I understand him. I'm not even mad at Justice Son for this. But hey, you lie with dogs, you get fleas, man. That's what happens when you play with people like Trump, man. So these are my thoughts, and I gotta ask my co-host. We are tying in all of these stories. The World Liberty, you know, issue that they having with their stablecoin backing the World Liberty Financial token. Justin's son calling them out, you know, and Trump just being straight gangster in the White House, man. So who wants to go first? Who wants to take this?
I'm going.
All right, Cheese, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I won't say a lot, but it just goes to show you that, you know, Donald Trump wasn't the crypto president that we thought
Super fact.
we needed, right? He came into the space primarily trying to figure out how much he can get from out of it, right? And then maybe he'll help us get some later on. But really, his focus was coming into the space and like really like pumping his bags and then potentially pumping America's bag. None of which is happening right now. So, I mean, their bags were pumped, but I don't know how much of that is still pumped, or whether or not they might have like lost some valuation, like we just read, like 47 right? So um, while it may be a small hit for them, the bigger point that we're highlighting here is that as a industry, right, still relatively young,
That's
so
right.
things like this are going to happen just because no one foresaw it, not even him, and seeing foresaw like how the industry was going to change as a result of like these different moments, and we all thought we would be up and to the right now,
Yeah.
but we're not. So we gotta keep grinding. But it is interesting to see some ideas like this.
Great point. Great point. Appreciate your thoughts on that, Cheese. All right. Blue, you want to share your thoughts? Go ahead. The floor's yours.
I find this all very interesting because if we start from the beginning, I remember listening to NPR radio station, for those who don't know what that is. And they literally spoke about how the tokens were non-transferable, and that was the design. That Donald Trump was the founder, and the night before the inauguration, he became, what did they change his name to? It changed on the site. It went from founder to like inspired by Donald Trump, where his kids now run it. And so this is what they're saying in the beginning. They had somebody break down what those smart contracts meant. He was like, so this means like whoever issues these tokens can freeze them. They've already said you can't pull them off of the platform, the market, exchange, whatever you want to call this, right? And it was like, you guys can buy in and you'll get benefits. So it's really hard for me to process that the founder of Tron isn't aware that the company that you bought this large amount from has already explained that these wallets would be able to be frozen, transfers were going to be blocked, and they could restrict funds. So that was off top. But you still bought into it. And then you did like this reverse claim saying, oh, I lost all my money. They froze everything. Real talk. Did you guys talk on the back end and say, hey, I need you to freeze like $80 billion so I can claim this and get money from the government and blah, blah, blah? Because he does have a working like plan that he's trying to get in with Donald Trump for the United States, for trying to be able to be used kind of like a digital bank, like Kraken. So I just find this story very interesting for like all the information and how they started, what was disclosed, and I just find it interesting. That's my take.
Blue, that was a hot take. I appreciate that take. You actually spoke that too, girl. Man, I'm gonna tell you like this. Like I said earlier, man, you lie with dogs, you're gonna catch fleas, man. Like, Justin's son tried to buy his good grace with Trump by buying all of these damn tokens. And like you just explained, NPR let him know off top, like, yo, you ain't gonna be able to have access to your funds like that. We're gonna lock it up, we're gonna control it. Like, he should have knew better. How he missed that, I don't know. Maybe this is all a ploy for us. Maybe this is all theatrics. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking hilarious to me though. But like you were saying, because he's trying to get, Tron to be, used in the United States and, potentially have a Tron digital bank and all this other stuff. So, he's trying to be buddy. But Trump let him know, man, if, he's not the right, he's not like us. He's not like us, man. You know what I'm saying? He don't got the right complexion for the protection, man. So, Justice said, man, you got to think twice, man. You know what I mean? You got to think twice when you're dealing with people like Trump, man. He's a shyster. He's a shyster, and this just whole play sounds like a grift. You know what I'm saying? He's grifting. Bad. Tia, do you want to share any thoughts on this situation as well too? Do you got any thoughts on this?
Nah, not really. Nah, I'm a pass on this one. I
All
think
good.
I done beat Trump down. Nah, he still need his ass whipped a little more. But I'm lay off a little bit.
All good, all good. So yeah, we will continue to monitor the situation to see if Justin's son actually gets access to his funds. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. So speaking of interesting to watch, shout out to we're gonna shout out Stand with Crypto. You know what I'm saying? We gotta shout them out. You know what I'm saying? Cheese got the Stand with Crypto pin. He repping today. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I don't know, man. If I really wanna say this, I do. I kind of want to say this, but I don't. So I'm gonna hold off on it, cause you know what I mean. Just by my co-host facial expression, I'm gonna hold.
I wasn't anything.
I know.
Eventually, I'm gonna always have that face. I'm gonna always be making that face, but eventually, the news must come to light.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So let's just say, just shout out to Stand with Crypto. We gotta keep it at that, man. You know what I'm saying? So check this out. Brian Armstrong, he did a 180. He has reversed course and is now backing the Clarity Act after previously opposing it, signaling that key concerns, especially around stablecoin yield, have been partially addressed in an updated version of the bill. So Coinbase had earlier helped stall the legislation, but Armstrong now says it's time to pass the act, which aims to define regulatory oversight between the SEC and the CFTC while establishing a unified framework for digital assets. So the revised bill appears to maintain limits on passive yield while allowing some activity-based rewards. Okay, so we're going to be limited on the yield, but it looks like I knew they wasn't going to be able to stop that. That's a win for the consumers, man. We will have our yield, all right? So it seems like the revised bill appears to maintain limits on passive yield while allowing some activity-based rewards, striking a compromise between crypto firms and regulators. I really like this, man. I'm glad they came to a compromise. The shift is significant because Armstrong's support adds major momentum towards passage, marking a broader transition from industry pushback to alignment and bringing the U.S. closer to clear, comprehensive crypto regulation that could drive institutional growth and bring back retail, because retail is gone. Retail is gone. Thought this was super interesting. It looks like Brian Armstrong got fed up. He pulling out his last 3 strands of hair on his head with this act. And he just said, "Fuck it, man." He had to capitulate. You know what I mean? He had to take the knee on this one and said, "Hey, fuck it. I may not get the yield for my Coinbase users like we initially wanted, but hey, something is better than nothing, man. Slow motion better than no motion." So I gotta respect it, man. So hopefully we should see some positive action this week in DC with passing the Clarity Act. So I gotta ask my co-hosts who want to take this first. Brian Armstrong doing a about face in time frame on the Clarity Act. Who wants to go first? Blue?
Listen, okay, I'm trying to be good because there's so many ways I can go with this. But I'm trying to be good. I'm reading Cheeze's face right now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna read Cheeze's face and try to follow. But these fugazi representatives. All I gotta say, it's really interesting. He has to like you said, he has to bow the knee. when you work with the man, but you trying to act like you with the people, that's like what he is. He's with the king. He's not with, the servants and the regular people. He's gonna say what he needs to say to look good to our community. He needed our community to be able to give support, the crypto community. That's who got this president elected. That's where these bags came from.
That's a fact.
And his investors and all these different things. Like, he had to be able to impress our community. However, there's like something called old money. And it doesn't matter how deep our bags are. Those are the people who run our country, right? And so, regardless of what the videos and the posts and everything, you let these people in. You let Wall Street in. You let the banks in. Like, we had them by the chokehold. They all would have, like, literally just shut down. So, I think that, it is what it is. We all know he's in the bed with the government, and that's just, like, how they move. But they're trying to do like what the White House does when they send their personnel to speak to everybody, but kind of like they're professional like shifters of changing the narrative and making it seem like, even like if we see like a cop do something crazy, they can like twist that into like the cop being the victim. So that's how good they are with manipulating. I think that he's taken classes from these individuals. He's not really good at it. But he is literally taking classes, from the camp to tell him what to do, because when you let the big dog in, he's going to take over the house, regardless of how strong you think you are. So, everything is going to be now monitored, limited, censored, controlled. We're moving into, they're getting like, last part of them, shut up. It's kind of like how they talk about, the frogs. If you start like the water really low, so by the time it starts boiling, nobody will react. That's like what he's doing. He's like, hey, come over here. I convince everybody decentralization doesn't matter. Smart contracts really isn't what we really want to use. Like, let's use crypto where we can kind of control it. Let's start pushing stable coins. So just like go watch some of his conversations from like 5 years ago to what he's saying right now. So it's a totally different person. And he's like that kid or that person that you can't trust. He's just going to go with whoever, holds the power and is going to give you the key to do whatever. So that's my take.
Blue, that was a great take. And I totally agree with you. Man. I'm gonna just tell y'all like this, man. Brian Armstrong, if Blue is right, you're taking us on a ride, man. You know what I mean? That means you're trying to bamboozle the people, man. You're trying to get us hoodwinked. You know what I mean? So I like the analogy that you had with the frog in the boiling water. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. It's unfortunately, hopefully, decentralization, that concept isn't cooked. You know what I'm saying? But nah, great points, Blue. Cheese. I like that segue from Blue to Cheese. I like that, Blue Cheese. What's your thoughts, brother?
I'm
glad. Remind you got to stand with crypto pin on your shirt or your blazer, brother. So I know you can't go too hard throwing Coinbase and Brian under the bus.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think regulation is a way of regulating the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean it's the only way of utilizing the industry,
Okay, explain, elaborate.
right? So many times different industries are regulated,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they kind of sets the status quo, right? But if you understand how to use DeFi, if you understand how to utilize these other products, then you're going to get access to the things you need to get access to,
That's right.
right? So, yeah, that's it, pretty much. But I think, like you said, we are getting some of those yields that we want, so it's a win for the consumer. And I appreciate that they've been very vocal around this for Coinbase.
All right, so that's good. He was very conservative, and I respect that because we have to have different perspectives here. Blue, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
So this is not directed towards anything that has previously been said. I think T's had some great points because it's like, man, what's the best way to like kind of compare this? It's like, kind of like how you have like natural foods and farmers and things like that, and then somebody came into town and convinced people, hey, we should have grocery stores. We should have food processed. This plastic stuff works. If you inject your chickens with these chemicals, you can produce more and poison more people, and then we'll make a deal with pharma, and they'll pull money in, and then we'll all stay in the same kind of circle. It's kind of like literally copy paste what we're experiencing now, and then just transferring that to our technology, but like hoodwinking everybody to think like you're really there for them, almost kind of like how drug dealers give like little kids like candy, but then they have like little doses of like drugs and stuff like that in their stuff. It's like the deception is crazy, and there should be a master class for it.
Yo, Blue, you were touching on several topics that are definitely rabbit holes, man. Definitely rabbit holes.
But I like how
Nah, those are great thoughts. Go ahead, Cheese.
I like how Blue mentioned and navigated that, because that is exactly what it is. You can look at the food industry today as a regulated machine, right? Even the drug industry, right? Now, there's a lot of drugs for medications that aren't as highly touted, like cannabis, right? But there's a lot of alternative medicines
That's right.
that you can take, and if you are knowledgeable of the space, you have access to them. Just like if you're knowledgeable of food industry, you have access to go and start your own farm and grow your own crops, and et cetera, right? There isn't a like ban on growing your own food and managing your own food, right? So you can
Pens. I'm finished.
on eating your own food.
Farmers had to turn in their organic seeds.
Well, yeah, that to that extent, that part is controlled. But if I got some organic seeds, I'm gonna plant some stuff in the backyard. Who's coming into my house to
Exactly. You can do it yourself. Decentralized. Yes.
Yeah. So to an extent, if you know how to navigate the industry well enough, right, then you are
Safe.
safe. But regulate. My point is, regulation exists for the purpose of tons of millions of dollars and all that to pour into an industry. Without regulation, right, or without privatization of businesses so big to the point where they just control the industry, look at AI, right, then you're not going to get the the massive growth that you want.
No, it's some great analogies. That's a great point. It's just like if the more knowledge that you have in this space, the better off it is for you to navigate. You can be a custodian of your own digital assets by getting a ledger, not worrying about these centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken or Crypto.com, controlling your digital assets. So yeah, it's with more knowledge comes responsibility. But it's like with Superman and Spider-Man. You have a lot of power. It just comes with greater responsibility. So if you are being a custodian of your own crypto assets, that comes with a lot of responsibility. So it's a double-edged sword, and mostly everything that we're used to are centralized systems anyway. So decentralization is a fairly new concept to humans. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But yes, if you can control your digital assets, you can control your food, you can control your water, you can control your health and your education, man, you're gonna be better off than what the government is feeding you. That's a major fact. So I'm glad my co-host highlighted that. Thank you for those points, good people. All right, we got a couple more stories we're gonna run through right quick, and this one also deals with decentralization. All right, because we know, like Cheese was talking about earlier, AI ain't going nowhere. All right, he just came from speaking on a panel talking about AI. We talked about AI earlier. We know that there are certain blockchains that are darlings to corporate entities. BitTensor, that ticker TAO, TAO, yeah, that's a darling of a lot of corporate entities. But guess what? BitTensor is under heavy pressure after a major ecosystem builder, Covenant AI, exited the network, triggering a sharp sell-off and raising concerns about its decentralization claims. The dispute went public after founder Sam Dare accused BitTensor's leadership of centralized control, citing actions like suspending subnet rewards and limiting builder autonomy, while founder Jacob Steves pushed back against the claims. The fallout has shaken investor confidence, highlighting how closely TAO's value is tied to its core contributions and governance model, and sparking broader debate about whether decentralized AI networks can truly operate without centralized influence. That's a very strong point. That's a great take right there. Can decentralized AI networks truly operate without centralized influence? And we know some of the more major blockchains, they're using cloud infrastructure like AWS, and Google, right? They're using centralized entities, but these are supposedly, decentralized blockchains. So this is a very slippery slope when it comes to decentralization and centralization. In certain aspects, it might be necessary to be centralized. But now we're talking about AI and BitTensor. So this is where blockchain and AI meets. And this is, I think, the most valuable blockchain that incorporates AI in blockchain. I think Render is not too far behind that. There's a couple other AI blockchain protocols out there. I know Fetch AI is one of them as well. But BitTensor is the big dog on the block. Well, they're in hot water right now. So it's funny when you have one of these developers leave, these protocols because of the ethos has changed. Developers said they're not decentralized. So I got to ask my co-host, what's your thoughts on BitTensor? How closely do you follow this particular blockchain? And what do you think about the future of blockchain and AI? So who wants to take this first? Cheese? Blue, who wants to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cheese.
Um. So, it's hard to speak on like how directly because that's some infight in here. But what they're doing, I appreciated what they were working on. Because this whole subnet concept, right? It's like almost like they were doing what Avalanche was doing, but for AI
Oh,
in a
okay.
way where like, okay, if you buy a subnet, you kind of have like your own uh, network to run AI models on,
Gotcha.
right? So it's almost like your own blockchain. Uh, so I fuck with what they're doing, but you know, much like a lot of the things that are in this space right now, we're starting to see, you know, how this current market trend is putting pressure on decision making processes, right? And yeah, so you know, Aave is seeing some pressures as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Nah, good point, Cheese. Good point. So, Blue, what's your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on BitTensor? All right, and a developer leaving this protocol because of the non-decentralized nature of the protocol.
No, it's kind of okay. So it's like history is repeating itself. Back in the day, devs used to leave companies or air quote projects if they felt like their ethics were compromised or they didn't align with or agree with, with the leadership. They would literally like hijack the whole project. With this, I think the issue is the problem. A lot of these protocols, companies, people claiming that they have subnets. A lot of this stuff is not decentralized. So when you make a claim that you're decentralized and you're not, and you have devs that do understand that, because there's so many devs now that are like copy pasta. So I can understand the issue and the fallout. There's a lot of companies that make claims about what they have and what they've built versus what they actually have and what they actually have built. So I just think it's something that's going to continue to happen. Very much like Chi said, that's the narrative now. Like even when we went to ETH Denver, when you go to conferences now, the lineup for consensus, the lineup for NFT NYC, all of it's privacy decentralization. Those of us who were preaching and talking about this like years ago, people would laugh about that and be like, people don't care about that. We don't need that. So that's kind of like my thought process on it. I also think that there's a narrative that's being pushed by different entities that you can't build decentralized and it's too difficult. You have to push that narrative in order to get all these people to allow you to control all their assets. And so that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But I think when companies make these claims but have other ulterior motives, but then they run into, I can't speak, I don't know who the devs are, but if they are saying like that's their reasoning for leaving, it's because like, hey, you're saying it's decentralized and it's not. And like I said, there's so many companies that, claim decentralization, but 99% of them are centralized. And there are individuals out here that have built decentralized systems. I'm one of them. and you can be decentralized, and you can run AI without an outside entity. That is possible, and people have built it. But like I said, back to the previous story and topic that we covered already, it's all about like control and how the government is like positioning themselves to be able to control people with this new tech. Because if they don't set these like rails up, and you don't see all the stuff that Trump's doing now, and Brian Armstrong and Circle and all these other entities, then it's just like the black guy who figured out how to fix your Tesla. They tried to put that dude in jail. You know what I'm saying? So like, that I think that's what it boils down to. So yeah.
Nah, Blue, you brought a lot of great points to light. So, is decentralization, is it really that necessary for us as retail investors? I think most retail investors won't care about decentralization. You know? I think that's more so the ethos of the cypherpunks when they, started this whole, blockchain wave. But because we all grew up with centralized systems, I think most people won't even care at the end of the day. You know, yeah, it is nice to understand the concept. I ain't even gonna say it is nice. It is necessary and imperative to understand the concept of what decentralization is. But are people responsible enough to manage their own assets? I'm gonna say no. So I think maybe decentralization is overblown in crypto. You know, maybe that just goes down with the ethos of the individuals who started this whole, the cypherpunks movement. But outside of that, regular people, everyday people, don't really care about that. You know, that's my personal take. But nah, go ahead, Blue.
No, I feel you on that take. I would say this. I would say that just like our past people before us, like they can't know what freedom's like, or even like fathom their imagination of what it's like to be free if all they have experienced is the master like whipping them and telling them what to do, and they're controlled their whole entire life. So like I personally feel like we do cry out and say that we want that, right? From a different perspective, Virgil wanted decentralization, right? Swiss Beats and Timberland wanted decentralization because these guys had to go to court to fight. Heck, even unstable, unmanaged, untreated Kanye West needs decentralization because he does have a story. He does have a point. Like, his story is crazy, but because he is mentally unstable and he has people around him to keep him in that position, very much like the chess player for the United States, like all these different things kind of contribute to, these issues. So I do think that our people, just our people alone, and people of color scream for decentralization. It's just that they're not aware. They don't know. It's like Meek Mill, like finally being able to experience freedom. Now he knows. My guy is like, oh, now I understand that I could do this. Oh, bet I'm going to take my resources and create an AI company where Anthropic wants to buy it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, he didn't know about AI and the tech. Like, they would say, oh, little baby, all these guys, that's the narrative. None of these artists want to learn about the tech. Nobody want to hear about blockchain. Nobody want to hear about AI. Yeah, they do. They're communicating it in a different way. And the gatekeepers are making sure to keep, the delusion the delusion that they've been able to keep all this time. You know what I'm saying? So I just think like it's just different narratives and blockades on how they're transferring this, because this stuff does give you freedom. So it's just like kind of like, how can we keep, you know, the herd inside without letting them escape?
Blue, you brought up some strong and very significant points. You brought up great examples of individuals who would thrive in decentralization, and we see how Kanye, he needs to be decentralized in order to, get some of the things that he wants to accomplish done. Because as controversial as a figure that he is, we saw what happened when, his bank account got frozen. You know what I'm saying? When he basically got blackballed, for saying some foul shit. It wasn't unwarranted, but the benefit to being decentralized can help out individuals like Kanye when shit like that happens. But it's you're absolutely right. We have been conditioned to be a part of the system, to assimilate. That was a drawback to the civil rights era. We owned our own prior to that, and once we started to assimilate, we became, we entered into these centralized systems, and then they were able to manipulate and control us. So there's a lot of freedom that comes with decentralization, but our people have to be reprogrammed to understand what freedom looks like now with technology, and how we can practice group economics to further, just embrace that cause of wanting to be free and decentralized. So, Blue, you brought out a lot of great points, man. I appreciate your thoughts on that. I'll definitely appreciate your thoughts on that, because, that goes deep, man. As far as why we're in the state we're in. We can go down that rabbit hole, but we know why we're in the state we in. We just got to realize who we are and wake the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Just point blank. But Blue, I appreciate your thoughts on that. So, if nobody else has any thoughts on that, we're going to take a brief intermission just to talk about Mint and Marquee, all right? So if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're watching us on IG for your visual pleasure, you see some dope 3D printed items here on the table. All right, we got our Mint and Marquee business sign right here, so we do custom designs. We got the Lionel Messi bust right here. We gearing up for the World Cup, so we got the World Cup trophies right here, so you can, get you one of these. We also got the Ronaldo jersey in a frame right here, which is super, super dope. You know what I'm saying? So if you're looking for dope 3D printed items, holla at us, man. Then, can't forget, we got crypto-orientated 3D printed items too. We got the Bitcoin gnome, we got the Bitcoin sign over there. We got the legendary Michael Jordan jersey in the frame. And be on the lookout this week, man. We got some more superstar athletes in jerseys that we're going to be cooking up for y'all, man, in various different sports leagues. You know what I'm saying? So happy about that. And then on the end, we can't forget one of my favorite 3D prints. David, man. This is a 3D print of David, but it has a golden skull in between the blue marble. So it's a phenomenal piece. It's actually one of my favorites. So, man, we are gearing up for the World Cup. We are gearing up to just make Mint and Marquee, pretty much a household name and a brand in Georgia, man. So when people need business signs, custom 3D printed business cards, we can do all of that, man. Or if you just want a design, let's say your child just created a dope character and you just want to have that printed out in real life where they can touch it and hold it and play with it like a regular toy, we can do that, man. We can actually create a mini-me version of yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can have a custom little model of yourself. You know, so got to take the time out to shout out Mint and Marquee, our 3D printing company, man, that me and Just Cheese started, man. So I'm happy about that. We are gearing up for the World Cup, man. I'm so happy about that. Also, big up to everybody, because last Saturday, you know, we were at the 404-day parade, man. So that was dope. You can go ahead and hit up our IGs and take a look at some of the video footage, you know, and some of the photos. We were out there in full effect. You know, shout out to everybody who pulled up for that, man. And one more thing. Gotta shout out ABC, man. ABC has rebranded. And if you notice that with the phase and the evolution, there's changes. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's changes in personnel or changes in the brand or the color. So ABC, and I gotta shout out Marlon for selecting one of the designs that I did just for the streetwear brand. You know what I'm saying? And it was just ABC shirt, Web3 DJs, and now that's the official, you know, logos. So I'm super, super happy and thrilled about the new phase, the new look, and the new brand of ABC. So shout out to the bar chef, man. Shout out to the bar chef. So for our last story, this is very interesting. It's super, super funny, but this is on a security note, man. Please be careful on hitting these links and making sure that you're not on a bogus app or a malicious link, all right? Because there's this guy, right? And I'm not familiar with his music. His name is G Love, all right? And he actually has a band that he's the lead singer of. They call the Special Sauce. Pause. You know what I'm saying? That's a super pause. Like, come on, bro. Your name is G Love. Your band is the Special Sauce. Pause. So you do blues, rock, and hip hop. I'm gonna put that in air quotes, man, because people be like to throwing that hat on right quick and taking off when they want. You know what I'm saying? I don't appreciate people doing that in our culture. But he, you know, I feel for him because he had a total of 6 Bitcoin lost because he downloaded a fake version of Ledger Live. So let's get into it. All right. So this Philadelphia musician by the name of G Love, his real name is Garrett Dutton. You know what I mean? He lost nearly 6 Bitcoin, over almost $500,000, after downloading a fake version of Ledger Live from the Apple App Store, which tricked him into entering his 24-word seed phrase. Damn, bro. Damn, your shit got cooked. So that allowed attackers to instantly drain his wallet. So this was confirmed by investigator Zach XBT. Shout out to Zach XBT, man. He been cooking shit, man. He really been, like, when it comes down to investigating what's going on in crypto theft and hacks and all that, he's the top dog. So according to him, the theft was not a technical hack, but a classic social engineering attack where convincing fake interface exploited users' trust rather than blockchain vulnerabilities. All right. So people, they just felt comfortable clicking on this link because it looked like an authentic Ledger Live app, but it wasn't. So the incident raises serious concerns about App Store security and reinforces a critical rule in crypto. No legitimate service will ever ask you for your seed phrase, highlighting that as scams evolve, the biggest risks are often at the user interface level, not the underlying technology. All right? So that's the thing about it, man. You have to be careful in this space because there are a lot of bad actors who want to come up on your crypto, you know, for people being naive or gullible or not just taking the time to do research on the links that they're clicking, you know. But he had good intentions. You know, the guy tried to, you know, he wanted to be decentralized and be the custodian of his own crypto. And unfortunately for G Love, all right, maybe you need to change your name, bro, because G Love is like a old late 80s, early 90s, like rap name, hip hop name like G Love. People don't even talk about love in their name no more. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny, especially the name of your band, bro. Special Sauce, man. That's super pause, man. You got to change your name, bro. You got to change the name, man. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there, man. But I'm gonna just tell y'all like this. Please be careful out there. And if you are gonna get a ledger, buy it directly from like a place like Best Buy where the boxes are sealed, and you know, try to avoid buying ledgers online because you know people, they might manipulate some of this technology and take your crypto. So gotta ask my co-host, have you ever clicked on a link, or did you get taken on a ride in crypto? Did you get scammed in crypto? Have anybody got scammed? I know I have, you know, buying some NFTs and not unplugging my wallet. And yeah, I had some Polygon. I had about probably $50 worth of Ethereum, probably about $100 worth of Polygon taken out of my MetaMask wallet because I clicked on a link. And yeah, I just kept my wallet attached to this profile for too long on this NFT platform. So that's my horror story, y'all. So it happens to the best of us. Cheese, Blue, or Tia, if you have time, do you guys want to share some of the security tips that you can give people and some of the, if you experienced any losses in crypto through scams? Do you want to share?
Yeah, I have a story.
Go ahead, Cheese.
Not any loss that I've taken. Knock on wood though. We were at the old location up in Buckhead, right? There was many times, right? People just came to, they looked up, you know, blockchain online, and Atlanta Blockchain Center would be the first place that popped up, and they came, right? They showed up. One time, there was this guy. I was just in there doing my work. He kept banging on the front glass, and he kept banging on the front glass, and he was basically like, "Open up now!" I'm like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Open this door now!" That's how I was looking at him like, go to the door. I did not open the door.
Did, no doubt.
I just talking to him through the glass.
You got to. Yeah,
And I was like, excuse me, can I help you? And he's just like, is this the blockchain center? I'm like, yeah. He's like, why are you guys always closed? I'm like, we're open on Thursdays, you know? We have education, you can come on Thursdays, but the rest of the week is for members who are doing their work.
Right.
He's like, no, I need to learn about Bitcoin now. And so
it's mad aggressive.
I was like, you're welcome to come back on Thursdays when we're teaching. And that's all I said to him, and he's just like, man, fuck you. Damn. Like, okay, like,
rude.
Shit, like.
Rude son of a bitch.
But that was one time. I mean, there was another time, two other times when two people came by and they were unfortunate situations because they took advice from friends or they just lost their seed phrase. But this one time, this guy came and I felt bad for him because there was nothing I could do. But he knocked on the door and I said, hey, how may I help you? He said, is this the blockchain? I said, no, this is the Atlanta Blockchain Center. And he said, oh, okay, yeah, so this is the blockchain. I said, no, this is the Atlanta Blockchain Center. And he just proceeded to say, okay, I need my money back. And I said, what happened? And he said, I've been calling you guys. I've been trying to get my money back, and he showed me his phone, and he showed me, you see, this is blockchain. This is blockchain app, and I lost my money, and you guys are the blockchain.
Damn.
And I said, we are not the blockchain. We are the Atlanta Blockchain Center. And so he kept looking at me like I'm crazy. It's like, no, I need my money back. So I said, can I see your phone, please? Give me his phone. I go to the app store. I go to that app that he had downloaded on his phone. I explained to him, I said, look at this location, because apps are required to put their location, right? So I was like, look at the location of this app. It's in the UK. The creators of this app, it's in the UK.
No doubt.
This is the Atlanta Blockchain Center. We teach blah, 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 blah here, right? And he was like, so you're not gonna give my money back?
Yeah, that's crazy, yo.
I'm just like,
Education is key, man.
I was like, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. If you're not able to contact them, or if you're not able to get your money back, there's nothing I can do, because we are not affiliated with that company. And he just was so pissed. Like, he grabbed his phone out of my hand and turned around and walked away, and just like, man, fuck you and fuck this place, man. I want my money back. I was like, I just went back inside. But there's a lot. Education is key.
That's right.
Right? Carefulness is key. Really, you really don't really be needing your seed phrase anymore, honestly speaking. Like, you do, but not as frequent as you. Nobody should be prompting you, is what I mean.
That's right.
For that, unless you are the one that says, you know what, I need to check something out.
That's right.
And you check my wallet out, put my seed phrase in, and I'm on my way, right? I can go check my funds, I can go check move funds, I can get into my cold wallet. But there's never be any situation where somebody's like, hey, I need you to put your seed phrase in.
That's right.
Unless you come to that person and say, hey, I need your help, and it's somebody that you can trust, and they're giving you step-by-step instructions on how to handle the situation. But other than that, every time you put your seed phrase in, it should be of your own control, of your own awareness, and apps that you pick up. Always be careful with. Even today, like, this is not a blockchain exclusive issue, right? I will be on Google, and I'll just search for like Claude, or I'll search for whatever the case is, right? The first link that comes up is not always the link that you search for.
That's right.
Matter of fact, it's actually never, because
That's usually sponsored.
companies don't pay for their names, their keyword names, right? That's the waste of money for them. So usually there's companies that are buying the company keyword names and putting and getting themselves as the first one sponsored, as you say, right? So when you click on that thing first, it's like clicking. That's how quickly you could be at threat.
That's right.
For an issue, right? So always take your time before clicking on links. Go to X, go to LinkedIn, go to these telegrams, look at these websites and double check, how long they have been in business, double check if they even have their social proof, right? All this is important before you get to utilizing apps, because I'd hate to be the person that lost 6 Bitcoin.
Yeah, man.
That's a lot of Bitcoin, to be losing I would hate to be that person. So, you know, be careful with your money. And shout out to the homie G Love, because now that you mentioned Philadelphia, that does ring a bell.
Oh, you familiar with son?
I don't know him, but
Okay.
I have heard the name G Love before. I ain't hear of the band Special Sauce.
Pause.
Pause. But I've heard of this individual before.
You heard his music? What do you think?
No, it's like borderline trying to be like the Roots type shit.
Oh, boo. Nah, bro, that ain't gonna fly, man. That ain't gonna fly, man. G Love, think about a different moniker, and definitely think about a different name for your band, bro. Special Sauce, man, that shit is super pause worthy, man. You know what I'm saying? And then, isn't Post Malone from, where is he from? Because he did the Okie
I don't
Doke.
think he's from Philadelphia.
Oh, he just swagger jacked that whole White Iverson shit and just got into
Yeah,
hip hop and
yeah.
said, "Well, I'm not a rapper."
Yeah.
I hope G Love ain't on that type of time too, man, because that'll be ugly. All right, Blue, what's your thoughts on this? Have you experienced any losses in the crypto world? Did you hit any nefarious links? Did somebody try to siphon some crypto out of your wallet? Tell us about experience that you had.
Is there a checkbox for like yes, 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 yes? No, I've been scammed pretty bad through these crypto streets. Yeah, I would definitely say that. Like the worst. I would probably say like the worst. One of the worst scams I've been a part of is having like air quote like friends are going to like a large gathering, and then you're at a house where like I get my seed phrase, but my seed phrase is missing like when I get up. Like I've had my seed phrase stolen before that had some significant funds in it. I think that was probably like the worst one. And I've been a part of, other just ridiculousness. A whole bunch of people like promising the moon and the stars, and for some reason, without a contract, my dumb behind was like, I believe you. So, yeah, I just keep it there.
Yeah, man. So I'm sure most of us, probably all of us in crypto, has
What
experienced.
about you?
Oh yeah. Like I said, man. Just trying to buy some NFTs from Eternity. This was a NFT platform that had like the Lionel Messi NFTs, the
Yeah.
Bruce Lee joints on there, Shaqs and all of that. So I should have known. It just seemed like there was like a duplicate page or something like that I clicked on, and then every time every time I end up buying an NFT from this platform, the amount of crypto I had left over from the sale would just always disappear. So my first times doing it, I thought it was just like transaction fees. But no, my wallet was compromised, so I don't use that wallet anymore, even though I got like a ton of NFTs in there. So eventually I might have to move all my NFTs out of that wallet and just probably start up a whole new wallet just to put NFTs in. But that was the biggest one, man. That was the biggest one. But that's when I was naive. I was still green to this space. I really didn't know, I didn't know anybody at that time. That was in 2021, so that was very, very early in my journey. But since then, I've been pretty good. The only drawback is now all of the NFTs that I bought, most of them went down by like 90%. So it wasn't the fact that at this point it's not clicking on nefarious links or having crypto taken out of my wallet. It's just all of the NFTs I bought, like most of them are in the tank. So, it is what it is. I actually enjoyed the ride in crypto. I learned a lot, continually, constantly learning in this space. That's what we do here. Even before I, put out the content to y'all on every Sunday and Thursdays, I gotta do my research. I gotta study this stuff. I gotta learn this. So that's part of the process. Being KOLs in this space, all of us are KOLs, Blue, Cheese, Tia, I got Easy Money. What's poppin', Easy Money? So yeah, man, I love the fact that ABC is evolving. We got a bunch of things cooking up for y'all, so be on the lookout for 2026. And I'll be remiss if I don't shout out my own website, thecryptocrew.com. That's crew with a K. And now you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter for $5 a month. That's right, folks. It's $1.25 per week for a weekly newsletter. So I already had a few people already signed up, so I'm happy about that. So be on the lookout. This evening you will receive your first Crypto Crew newsletter. All right. So feel free, tap into the website. There's going to be more value I'm going to be bringing over time. I'm going to be adding, some prediction markets, only crypto prediction markets on there. I'm not going to get too far in the weeds with that because it's a ridiculous amount of things you can bet on. We're going to incorporate that. And also, we're going to incorporate Bitcoin payments. All right. So we're going to start accepting Bitcoin soon. So, if you feel froggy, then leap on over to the cryptocrew.com newsletter. Get you a subscription. You heard? So, again, big up to Mint and Marquee. Big up to everybody who is tapped into our podcast today. We are going on 2 hours. That's roughly the amount of time that we like to give y'all this dope crypto information. I actually been thinking about some of the topics that we talk about on Thursday. I might just read off the headlines so people know what just happened. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're interested in what just happened this past week in crypto, I'm gonna just run through these headlines right quick. We don't have to have any dialogue on this, but just to let people know, at ABC every Thursday, we run through topics, y'all. And some of these topics, we have a lot of people that have a lot of great insight and perspective. So sometimes, we might speak on a topic for a whole half hour just based on something that just happened in the news. So some of the stories this week, we got an Ethereum developer launching a congressional run in VA, as a Democrat, so we got pro crypto people trying to get into politics. All right. Now, Binance, they got a prediction market called Predict.fund that they integrating onto their platform. So all of these crypto exchanges starting to get, they prediction markets. All right. Also, Morgan Stanley, they released their very first Bitcoin ETF. They did about $34 million, their first week, which is pretty good. So that means institutional demand is high, for Bitcoin ETFs. So, also, Polymarket, they're launching their own stable coin. All right, so you can use USDC on that platform, and it's built on Polygon, and they actually use Arbitron as well too. But I thought that was dope. That Polymarket is actually launching their own stable coin. And speaking of stable coins, the White House said that the yield on stable coin will have little to no effect on community banks. All right. So I know that was one of the things that, the banking gangsters was trying to tout, hey, we don't want stablecoin yield, it's gonna cause a bank run. The White House said not. Also, Adam Back, he's an early Bitcoin developer, and the New York Times, they did an investigation. They said that Adam Back might be Satoshi. I don't think he is, but I believe he definitely knows who Satoshi is. Even if it's a group of people, he definitely knows who they are or he is. All right. And Canary Capital, They actually filed for a Pepe ETF, so we're getting more meme coin ETFs on the horizon. Kalshi, they're integrating with Fox. So on Fox Business and Fox News, you'll be able to see Kalshi, like a little ticker going across the bottom as far as the odds of certain things people are betting on. The Phantom Wallet, they had an outage for about almost 2 hours on Monday, so that's real sketchy, y'all, Phantom. I don't know what y'all got going on over there, but y'all need to tighten up. All right, and one of the biggest stories is Iran. They want to start accepting crypto if you're trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. All right, so these are some of the stories that we talk about on Thursdays. All right, so I just wanted to run down some of the main stories. I think I'm gonna start doing this on Sundays just to give people a highlight on just, some of the other things that happened during the week, because we cover from Sunday, well actually Thursday to Sunday. These were some of the articles that happened in just those 4 days, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in crypto. So yeah, I'm just gonna give y'all a heads up.
I'll say one more thing.
Go ahead, Cheese. Go ahead, Cheese. Keep the people informed.
This whole Barrett blockade thing, right, was because Donald Trump did not want anybody to pay. Right? This whole thing came up, it was like, we're gonna blockade, we're gonna stop you guys from collecting payments. How are you gonna do that?
Okay,
It's gonna be crypto. Like, even if you see the shit moving, what you gonna be like? Yo, did you pay? Yo, did you guys pay? Who paid? Did anybody pay? Did you have to pay? Right? You won't even know, because you're not gonna, unless you having that conversation with each ship. And it's not like you're gonna be seeing money exchange hands on the ocean.
Peer to peer, man.
So it's just gonna be like, okay, you're gonna see a bunch of ships moving out here, and they're gonna be moving like they paid, because they paid, and you wouldn't even know.
That's right. That is the nature of crypto, man. No middleman, So it's going to be interesting to see how this week plays out. And Blue, you got your hand up. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, just real quick, because I know we're wrapping. But to Cheese's point, I think that it'll even come down to kind of like how the mob moves. So all these ships, because it's kind of like the Coast Guard, or if you drive into Jamaican waters, right? You're gonna get stopped. But I think that it'll be the reverse. Hey, a lot of pirates are attacking our boats and things like that. I think that there'll be because they do release these little armies to kind of terrorize, this community, unless they do the things that they want. So I think it may fall down like that, but I also do think that, our government is going to try to shut that down. But that's the thing with crypto, you can't really do it.
That's right. That's the decentralized nature of crypto. And I'm looking into the camera right now just to tell y'all, I'm the captain now. You know what I mean? Word up, man. So if y'all know them film, if y'all know, you know. But nah, man, I just want to just say thank you to everybody who shared their thoughts today. Both my co-hosts, Just Cheeze, Blue. Shout out to NFT for popping up, sharing her thoughts with us, getting up on stage. Man, shout out to our guy Easy Money. Shout out to everybody who's been tapping in, loyal listeners of the TCK Web3 News Podcast. This is episode 113. And as you know earlier, like I said, man, get that newsletter, man. You know what I'm saying? Stay informed. There's about 24 articles that I condense and put into the newsletter. So tap in, stay informed. If you don't have the time to go through the website and read all of the articles, because that is a lot of content, I'm just making it easier for people, lower the barrier of entry, so people have access to the content, man. Tell your friends, tell your family, and also if you're interested in getting custom 3D prints, holla at us, man. That's me and Just Cheeze, man. We are Man Marquee. We are also members of the Atlanta Blockchain Center, and yeah, man, we're cooking. We are steady cooking, gearing up for the World Cup. All right. So, any other thoughts? Any closing remarks, Cheese, before we get up out? Blue, you want to share any closing remarks? All right, y'all. You know how we do. Blue, if you got any closing remarks, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you to the most consistent host in the game, and shout out to the dopest co-host, Mr. Cheese. And if you have time on Tuesday at 3 p.m. EST, come check out the podcast Human Spaces.
Oh yeah. We gotta shout out that part too, man. That's super dope, man. That's super dope. Gotta pull up for that. And Wednesday, there's gonna be a select group of people at the ABC that's pulling up to the James room. You know what I mean? So we're gonna be out there on the belt line, you know what I mean? We're gonna be dipped out, we're gonna be fresh, and we just gonna vibe out. So it's gonna be a nice Web3 mixer that Cheese put together. I'm looking forward to it. I heard it's like a, speakeasy. You know what I mean? So we're looking forward to that on Wednesday. And then Thursday, you know how we do. I believe, which Thursday's topic, Cheese? You remember?
Yeah. Stocks, on-chain stocks.
On-chain stocks. So we're going to be talking about these tokenized securities, all right? So, man, one more story. Securitize partnered with Tron so they can bring tokenized securities onto the Tron blockchain. So that's the last story, y'all. But check this out. We appreciate y'all tapping in. This is your boy T.Gold, a.k.a. Mr. I Gets Busy. You heard Mr. TCK in the flesh. I appreciate all my crypto crew members, Just Cheeze, Blue, NFTer, and all my loyal listeners, man. Thank y'all, man. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here getting this Web3 alpha with us every Sunday at 4:20. We live on Instagram. We live on YouTube. This your boy, T.Gold. We're recording live from the right center. We out. Thank y'all for your time. Peace.